What's going on, Caillou? Welcome back to Sports Talk with C. How you doing this
Uh,
afternoon, I should say?
It is. I am great. Thank you for having me again. It is always an honor. I know that our schedules kept it was crazy. Like at first I legit thought you was gonna be mad at me.
No, of course I would never be mad at you. You know you're my guy, but I have to ask, did you win your game?
So we have a game tonight at 6.
It's tonight. See this whole time zone difference, guys. He's in Sydney.
Well, I'm in Tamworth. It's like 5 hours from Sydney.
Okay, okay. So last time he was here, guys, it was about a year ago. So I will leave the link for everybody to on YouTube and in Spotify so you guys can go back and get familiar with who Caillou is. But what you been up to? What is new? What is going on?
It's been crazy. It's been a insane ride. Let's see. So recently I played for a team in Michigan and
Hmm.
we played our games there and also in Canada as well. And I would say a little bit before that, which would have been December, I got a message to come out here.
Okay.
So I was supposed to come here at the beginning of the season. So what happened was the player that actually had invited me to come back, he went to the board and they went over everything and they had at the time said that they could not afford another import because they already had one, which I already knew. So I was like, okay, that's cool, whatever. So a few games go by, and then all of a sudden I get a message saying like, hey, can you come back? So I was like, oh, all right, sure. At the time, I wasn't, on a team, so I was able to kind of just pack my bags and head out here. So I got here a few weeks ago, and yeah, now I'm back in Australia. It's kind of crazy. Um, I originally wasn't sure if I would come back or if I would even be able to because the last time I was here, crazy story, I overstayed my visa and I was very new to how visas worked. So what ended up happening was I came twice. So the second time
Mhm.
that I came back, I was on my previous visa. So I didn't know it. So I was still technically legal. So when I left, they said, yeah, you overstayed it by 6 months. If you want to come back, you'll have to do an appeal, but otherwise you can't come back for 3 years. So I was like,
Wow.
wow, that's really messed up. Yeah. So I ended up going to play in Germany anyway. So after Germany was COVID, so I wouldn't have been able to come back anyway
Right.
because there was basketball anywhere. So yeah, after that, I played for a team in Detroit during that little COVID period, and then I played for the team in Oakland County Pharaohs, which we played our games often in Canada. So it's been a crazy ride. I'm just kind of like still embracing the fact that I'm actually back here because I wasn't sure if they were kind of going to be funny, even though the 3 years had passed, I didn't know if there was anything extra that I needed to do. It didn't appear to be that way. I was going to come back, I would say maybe about a year ago, but they were still in the lockdown. So they would have wanted me to be in a hotel room for 2 weeks without leaving. And I'm like, I'm not doing that.
No, for
So
real.
I am not doing that. That's terrible for your physical health and your mental health.
Right.
So I was like, nope, not doing that. And then another team that was in this league had actually expressed interest a couple of times as well. But I'm actually thankful that I did not go there because they were actually on the bottom of the ladder. So it worked out that I'm back here.
Okay, so let's rewind to the whole visa situation because I do have some questions about that. What is the
Yeah.
process to get a visa? How do you apply for it? And in your situation, um, you know, could they have kept you there or could you have served jail time? Like, what is that whole process?
Yeah, so you apply and it basically just asks you a lot of basic questions. And passport number, all that. Have you been convicted of a crime? Things of that nature. So once you get through all of that, you hit submit and you submit your payment, and then you get reimbursed, from the team. So um, when you apply, one of the questions that they ask you is, have you ever overstayed a visa in Australia or anywhere else? So,
Mm,
honest. And I was like, yeah, I did. I was a little younger. I didn't understand the visa system. I was uneducated, and it's not going to happen
right.
again. So once you submit that, the process can, it can vary. It can be a couple of weeks. It could even be a month. It can be a couple of months. I think since all the COVID stuff has been lifted, and based on the time that I got here, there wasn't as many visa applications. So mine had gotten approved about maybe 2 weeks after I applied for it.
Okay.
So they send you an email if it's been, approved. If it's been denied, they also will send you an email, or maybe saying that they need more information based on the information that you've given. So it's basically just to let them know that you're, coming to the country to do no harm, and you're going to abide by the rules and things of that nature, because they're trying to keep everything, in good standing here, which I understand, and trying to keep everybody safe. So I understand all of that as well. So it's crazy.
And what are some of the things that you like about being in Australia as far as it
Oh,
comes to like basketball wise and culture?
before I get to that, forgive me, I didn't answer your other question. No, I did not serve any jail time. I didn't. It wasn't nothing like that. They just
Okay.
literally they were like, "Do you know you overstayed your visa by 6 months?" And I was like, "What?" I was like, "No, I didn't." They said, like, the team that I played for, they didn't say anything about that. And she was like, "Okay, but I understand." She said, "Well, you know, technically you're not able to come back here for 3 years, but you can appeal it if you want to. But yeah, you can go." And
But
that
is
and that was
that but is that the team responsibility or is that something that you have to be on top of to know when your visa expires or, or is that something that the team is responsible in letting you know when that type of paperwork needs to be like resubmitted or applied for or stuff like
um
that? Or can she have been an asshole and not eat like,
right.
how we get some of those people that are, stiflers to their job.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so really, I mean, it is the individual's responsibility. However,
Okay.
the club that you're connected to, it is theirs as well, because you want to make sure that you're not, like, you know, harboring an illegal person at the
Right.
same time. So it is both. It does start with the individual, but
Okay.
whatever you're here for, whether it's an excursion or sports or whatever, whoever the supporting overhead is, they should know as well. So it's a
Okay.
little bit of,
It's a little bit of both.
yeah, but I didn't get like deported or nothing like that, and they didn't question me and all that, nothing like
Okay,
that.
that's good.
Yeah. So, but to answer your other question, you said, what is it like here and what do I like about it?
Yes.
Uh, so the funny thing about it is, it's very similar to America. It's not a huge culture shock.
Okay,
That's
good.
one of the reasons why I do like being here. They speak English. They just have those different accents, and they
It's
think
like
I have an accent. And I'm like, no way, it's not me. It's y'all. Like, they say things like use instead of y'all.
oh,
I'm
they
like, yo.
sound so they're like me. Because I
Oh,
definitely say
oh, you say that?
use. Yes, I'm a use person.
Uh,
So I would definitely fit in Australia. So maybe I should check it out for sure.
you should, because you love it here. You would love it here, and then you'd be like, I gotta go back. The weather's great. For them, they're like, it's freezing, and it's like 40 degrees. And it's like that's not really freezing. I mean, that's not warm, but it's not freezing.
Yeah,
But
no.
you know, yeah, the weather is great. The people are very nice. They're very hospitable.
Okay.
Um, you don't find people with a lot of attitudes. I mean, they're going to be everywhere, but you just don't
Right,
see a
right.
lot. Um, Also, generally very healthy. You don't see a lot of overweight people here. They're very serious about their health, and I think that that's really great. Also, they don't have a lot of the things that we have in our foods and our drinks that are, banned in other countries, that
Mm-hmm.
contribute health issues. So that's always great. And because of that, you don't see very many handicap parking spots either.
Mm.
You know how you go to the store and you see someone sitting on the cart? You don't see that here,
Wow.
So yeah, they value that for sure. Um, Food is great. Food is very similar to America. Um, One difference I will say is with their fries, they have something that's called chicken salt. Ever heard of that?
No.
Okay.
Never heard of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, me either. So it's just literally like a salt, just like a seasoning you put on the fries, and it's very good. It's very, very
Mm, very good. I'm gonna have to look into that. I'm definitely gonna have to look into some chicken salt.
chicken salt. It is amazing. If you go out to eat here, I will say, um, you cannot get free refills. You got to pay for a whole other drink. I think that's very different.
That's huge.
know, because when I go out, I like my lemonades and my juice and stuff like that, and you got to buy a whole nother one.
Yeah,
Um,
it's definitely a culture shock for us.
yeah, because I'm like, I'll take another one, and it's like, yeah. Um, Also, when you say lemonade here, uh, it's a Sprite. I'm like, that's not lemonade, y'all. That's a lemon lime soda. Yeah, like I remember I went out, and I said I'll have a lemonade. They gave me a Sprite, and I was like, oh no, no worries. That's what I thought because I'm like, I like Sprite anyway, so I drank it.
Right.
A couple weeks later, I went out. I said I have a lemonade. This is a different place. They gave me a Sprite. I said that is really ironic. Went out again, not long after that. Same thing. So I said, okay, something's going on here. So I found out that to them, lemonade is Sprite. So I told all of them, listen, we're gonna throw a lemonade party. I'm gonna buy all the stuff, and we're just gonna make lemonade, real lemonade, so they can
Right.
actually stand, you know,
Why it's lemonade. Right, right, right.
exactly. And I would say too that the sizes are different. So
Hmm.
if for a large pizza here, it's definitely a medium in America. Yeah, definitely a medium. So sizes are a little different, but overall everything is amazing. Driving on the other side of the road, being on the other side of the car, that does feel weird, but you get used to it, you know. Um, but yeah, there's not like a huge difference to where you're like, I really need to learn how to do this, or it's not anything really like that. So that's another reason why I enjoy being here. It's very easy to adapt to.
It sounds very easy to adapt to.
Yeah.
I think from if it was me, I think it would be much more easier to focus on the basketball. And with that being said, what is the basketball culture in Australia?
Yeah. I feel like each year it gets better. Um, very close to very close to America and Europe.
Okay.
Um, it's definitely growing. The fan base here in our particular town in Tamworth is great. They come out and they're alive every game. The whole town comes out and they're stumping and they're hollering and they're doing chants and stuff like that. So it's really tough for other teams to come here and play us because we have the best crowd in the league. So
Okay.
it's a different environment for them, and I think that's what helps give us a lot of the advantages at home. But I would say, yeah, overall as a culture, it's definitely good here. Some of the rims are a little different. I'd have to show you on like a picture.
Okay.
Like it's like they're shaped like a little differently, like towards the back. But you get used to all of that. We play with a Spalding ball now instead of a Molten,
Okay.
which is what I'm used to. The Moltens, they play with those a lot in Europe. And last time here, that was the ball that we play with. So it's pretty good. We find that the whole concept of team is emphasized more than in the States.
Okay.
Um, I don't know if I've even ever heard someone here say, "Hey, clear out," like for isolation. Like in America, that's all people do is clear out, and it's oh gosh, here we go again. You
Right.
know, there's a time for that, but here there's just a lot of screening and different actions to get the defense off guard. So that's a difference that I would say is a little bit different between here and the States. But, I think everywhere that you go, you're going to find small differences, but it is still the same game. Put the ball into the cylinder and, get buckets.
Was that a adjustment for you having to play that style of basketball? I mean, I know it's like kind of like the same thing, but um, with them, just setting the screen and you're not really
Yes.
playing a lot of ISO basketball. Was that an adjustment that you had to make for yourself to get
For
used to
me,
playing?
honestly, no, because I prefer to play that way.
Okay.
A lot of times in the States, I'm very particular about where I play, different open gyms or runs that people invite me to. Some of my friends, they know to just not invite me to certain places. I'm like, nope, not going. Because I know what the culture of that place is going to be. I know some of the players and how they play. And no, I prefer to play that way because in college it was the same. A lot of screening and actions, and that stuff was really looked down upon. Clear out, I got it, and just so much one on one, and in some cases 1-on-2, 1-on-3, throwing up crazy shots. You don't see a lot of bad shot selections here. You'll
Okay.
see it, of course, everywhere here and there, but it's just not as often here. So for me, I was like, yes, like finally, because playing in the States is really hit or miss. A lot of these runs, you know, I say this in the most humble way, but not a lot of people understand really how to play basketball. Everybody thinks they can hoop, but they don't really understand how to play basketball. And when it comes to not only ball movement, but defensively, helping the helper and stuff like that, they have no idea. They have
Hmm.
no idea. I think it's just about going out, trying to score as many points individually as they can. And, it's so much more to it than that. So I'm very particular about where I go in the States. And it's not about being bougie or nothing like that. It's just, I don't want to be mad because I've left some runs mad. Like, man, I really wasted my 2 hours or whatever. I take my time seriously if it comes to being in the gym. So, yeah, not a huge difference for me.
Okay. And do
Yeah.
so in this environment, is there a lot of pick and rolls here?
There are, and for me personally, I always thrive on, I think there's a time for pick and rolls. I do think that sometimes pick and rolls might be used a little too much because
Okay.
you're second defender, and it's like I don't need this guy. Like I can get by
Right.
this guy. I have no problems getting by this guy as long as there's off ball screening and action going on to keep the help side busy. But yeah, we do run some pick and rolls, run a couple of double screens and things of that
Okay.
nature. We run an action that I got actually from the Golden State Warriors called split action.
Hmm.
So when enters the post, we run that. And it's really good to see. It's really good to see. So I enjoy it. There are times where, you look upon others to make a play. And that's where the other import helps a lot. His name is Alante Harper, and he kind of helps to equalize that. So it's been pretty good so far. Still trying to each other out a little bit, but yeah, that's gonna be with every team.
chemistry wise?
Yeah.
And would you say that some of your teammates, being coming from the States, do they look for you for tips as far as style of play, how to play the game, or wanting to learn a different way to play the game?
Yeah, definitely. My role this time has been um, a lot more vocal and being more of a leader. So, I get different questions about things, and I've had, different guys come with me to work out, which is great. I always feel like, I'm going to always be in the gym regardless. Nothing's going to
Hmm.
stop that. But, you know, I can't teach you to be motivated and inspired per se. I can only say so much that might spark you to say, I'm gonna get in the gym with him. After a while, I just leave it alone. I make sure I handle my business. So, but yeah, people have definitely been willing to learn and ask questions, and I think that it's about delivery as well. I understand that, if I'm in the States and maybe even some people here, I know that I can really kind of get on them a little bit and hold them accountable. Like, come on, like we need that, you know. But then there's other people that kind of fold with that. So it's like, hey, you know, you got it next time. You
Right.
know, I just try to be careful with that as a player because I'm not trying to come off as a coach or nothing like that. I don't do none of that. In fact, I really prefer to lead by example. But if
Okay.
the example might not be getting through, then that's when I gotta kind of be like, hey, come on,
Is it you don't want to be too boisterous is because you don't want to be looked at upon as you don't want that coaching aspect with your name, or is it just because you don't know how that person's going to take what you say?
So I would say here it's more so about personality and how they would take things.
Okay.
I do think that since being here, people have been able to receive things differently because before I got here, that was an issue. It was the delivery of how things were said. Um, but I think that coming from the States, when I deliver it, um, they they respect it because they see that I do certain things as well.
Right.
They see that in the gym. They see I dive on the floor. They see that, I play with intensity. So it's not like I'm saying things that I'm not doing or that I'm
Right.
not even trying to do. So they do receive it better from me.
Hmm.
Um, I've never been the type of person that would really like get up in someone's face. I don't think that that's really my place. I think that, there is a time to, even if I clap at somebody like, hey, come on, like, let's go. I think that comes off differently than me getting in someone's face and pointing my finger at them and all that. That just hasn't been my leadership style. And for me, it's worked throughout my career. It's worked. So I'm just kind of sticking with what's working. I could only see myself in a very extreme situation, really like
Okay.
getting on if their effort or something isn't there, you know. But basketball's a game of mistakes. We all do good and bad. So it's just about outweighing, you know, those mistakes with the good and hopefully coming out on top in the end.
That's all you could ever want is always coming out on top in the end. You
Yeah.
spoke about getting on the floor, that you play with intensity. I didn't get to ask you this question before because I was a newbie into this podcasting world, but um, almost 3 years in now. But if you could describe your game in one word, what would it
Yeah.
be?
Intense.
Ooh, and what type of what type of intensity do you bring to the court?
So for me, I would say I pick and choose my moments because not every game am I hollering and getting hype. You know what I mean? Some
Hmm.
games I'm 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 doing my work, but I'm doing it quietly, you
Okay.
know? And there's other times where I feel like, look, I can't help it. I gotta holler, I gotta do something. you know. And I often look back at myself after the games, and I'm like, wow, did I really say that during the game? That's something that I usually wouldn't say. It's really like that sometimes. Um, but I would just say the intensity as far as just, defensively fighting through screens, um, doing the little things, offensively being aggressive, creating opportunities for myself and for my teammates. And, especially if it's a home game, getting the crowd involved. If
Hmm.
it's in a way, get the crowd to be upset and mad, you know. But yeah, I really try to do it with the little things and not be so boisterous. And I don't believe in drawing attention to myself or nothing like that. But there will be times in the game where you're kind of feeling it, and you might look at the crowd or something. That's how I am. So I turn into a different person when I play. I think you can call me Ramon when I play because that's
Ooh.
oh,
Okay, okay. I like that.
yeah.
Ramon, when you play. You spoke about doing the little things. Can you just speak about how important it is to do the little things in every game?
It's extremely important. I think a lot of people look at stats to look at the numbers, and that is great, but there are things that are not
On the stat
recorded.
sheet?
Yeah, like getting deflections, diving on the floor for this ball, helping the helper. If you can't get the rebound, tipping it to someone on your team that can. These are little things that are not seen. How do you fight through a screen? How do you rotate defensively? These things are things that make a difference in a game, and they are the difference between winning and losing, because they create, better opportunities for you to score. How hard do you cut? Um,
Mm,
Offensively, that is a huge thing as well. And I'm a firm believer in not moving 100 miles an hour all the time. Pick and choose your times to explode and to accelerate. So I think about little things like that. And sometimes when you do um, explode or accelerate and do those little things, you might not get the bucket, but someone else might get it. Or maybe you get a hockey assist and
mm.
you make a drive, you pass it, and someone else makes a great pass to someone else that scores. These are the things that are not seen and they're not recorded. So when people look at stats, they just look for points.
Right,
Well, what else does the person do? You know what I mean? So you can score 20 points and not be a presence defensively. I've seen that so many times, you
right.
know. So my goal is always, if a primary scorer is guarding me, to really make them tired and to run them all over the court, you know.
And if you were given 24 hours with anybody from overseas, someone you grew up with, a teammate currently, the NBA, the WNBA, coaches, whomever, to work out with, train with, play against, who would it be?
To work out with, so I'm gonna say my brothers, of course. I gotta say them because
I
they,
like it.
yeah, they have definitely played a huge role in my basketball game. If I were to go outside of family, I would say Steph Curry.
Why?
Um, Often compared a lot based on our styles. Some people say Klay Thompson. However, not to, you know, pat my own back, but I think I have a bigger bag than Klay Thompson does. I appreciate his game.
Ooh.
I appreciate his game too. But he doesn't have a floater. You know, he makes me mad sometimes with that because I'm a Warriors person. So I see him jump in the air. He's right in front of the rim and he passes it. I'm like, dude, shoot a floater. But then I realize he doesn't have a floater.
Hmm.
So I think back than he does, just going off the dribble. But I understand what they mean as far as moving without the ball, and But I would say Steph, because um, we thrive a lot on how we play as far as moving off of the ball and keeping the defense busy, and a lot of times what it does, it creates opportunities for not only for ourselves but for our teammates. So that's what I would say. I love the Warriors system and how they move the ball and how they screen. So I would have to go with Steph.
I like it. I like it. I, after watched his interview, with JJ on his podcast, I grew a more fond love for Steph. So I do appreciate your answer. And yes, the Warriors do have a way of moving the ball that is very contagious. And it's something that um, I can see why you, as a player, would choose Steph Curry. But I do want to ask you before we do, run out of time, what is next? What can I see? I'm going to use your player name, Ramon, in the next 5 years.
Next 5 years, that is a great question. Um, you know, I am open to playing as long as I can. The way that I feel right now, I feel that I can play longer than that. to be
Ooh,
so I'm open to that. I definitely am also starting my training business, starting to grow as well for training players, boys, girls, men, women, and it's really been growing. So I know that as I continue to um, dabble into that, it's going to really become a big thing. I do it as well out here. It's something that I do in my spare time. I train people and I make school visits as well. And
I love that.
um, yeah, so doing stuff for the community, mental health. I do have a nonprofit for mental health that I have started. Just haven't done a lot with it yet. I just wanted to get it started. So anything that involves helping people, whether it's public speaking, which is something that I am also looking to do because I am finishing my book this year. I'm calling it out this year. I'm finishing it. Um, so thank
Speak
you.
that into existence. Let's go.
Let's go. Um, and then I have some merch as well. Actually, this is one of my shirts.
I like it.
Yes, I'm gonna have to get you a shirt.
Yes, definitely.
But yeah, a lot is definitely out there. I even looked into the opportunity of doing online courses that teach basketball and teach about mental health and how to be accountable. Being accountable is a really big thing for me. So when I come across people that are not accountable, I try to not get too upset, but sometimes it's like, okay, I need to go over here because I can't be around someone that blames you for something that they can control. So, yeah, got a lot of things I'm definitely going to be dabbling in.
That's what I like to hear. And how can people find you, watch you, or want to get to, want to either work out with you? How can they reach you?
Absolutely. So, depends on where you're at. So if you are in the States, I do have two phones here. So I have my America phone, my Australia phone. Uh, they can um, go to my website. I do have a website, KyleGuptonBasketball.com. It's going to be updated this week coming, actually. So that's actually great timing that you asked that because it will be updated this week. Um, for updates, there will be a link on the homepage as well that leads to updates. So this includes media coverage, games, game links, stats, schedule, anything to really stay in the loop. That will be on the homepage as well. So be on the lookout for that. And yeah, we're going to keep this thing rolling.
That's what I love to hear. Guys, you heard him at KyleGuptonBasketball.com.
You got it.
So there it is. So it'll be up and running later this week. Well, by the time the episode comes out, it will definitely run in, guys. And Kyle, it was a pleasure as always. I thank you for coming on and sharing your updated journey with me. I will definitely be tuning in if I am up. If not, I would definitely have to set that alarm so I can, catch you hooping, Ramon. And I
Yes,
definitely gotta I definitely gotta see you hoop. And like I always say, it's a privilege having you come on Sports Talk with C.
privilege. being on Sports Talk with C. And just to let you know, I will be playing at 4 a.m. So you'll be on the pillow at that time. But
Well, you always support me, so I definitely got to figure out a way to support you and watch a game. So, ain't nothing wrong with an alarm clock. Either catch a quarter, a half, no biggie. I can always go back to sleep.
or just catch it later when you're wide awake.
Oh, yeah, because it is recorded. That's always a thing too.
That's it. That's
All
it.
right. That's it. Thank you. Good luck today. Kill it.
Thank
Get them buckets and have a
you.
great team win.
Absolutely. Appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.